My name is Vexian, and I'm a YouTube strategist with over 3 billion views under my belt. And there's one word that you need to use in your next video to go viral, and that word is every. So, what I've done here, first and foremost, is I've gathered just some outliers from 1 of 10 using the word every as a key point for the idea, the title in this instance. And I'll be explaining why this word is so useful, how I use it for my own clients, and some examples that you may be able to use in the future, and then explaining the psychological reason behind why this is happening. So as you can see here, I've gathered roughly, I believe it's 16 examples, all using every, and you can pause here and go through all of them, but I'll just go name a few that I like quite a bit. So we have where every F1 driver lives. This is a really interesting one. Where do they all live? If you're an F1 audience, you might wonder, like, do they live in Monaco? Do they live in Singapore? Where do they live? So that's interesting in itself. Another one is I tried gaming in every airplane seat. This is obviously a massive outlier, a 12.1x outlier, getting 17 million views in only a month for a channel that has less than 1 million subs, which is actually crazy. This is obviously very clearly inspired by Ryan Trahan with its own unique twist. It's very interesting. And then another really good one I like a lot is a disturbing cult from every state down here. This is really good from Tuv. It's really interesting. Hey, like if I live in a state, I might be like, what is my disturbing cult that is in my state? Obviously, we see here from Jack 2 Saucy, I got every fruit in 24 hours. That's block fruits. Every rank explained in the U.S. Army. So this is kind of interesting from a knowledge perspective. What do they all do? And then one other one that I like to kind of call out here is one here at the bottom right, which is every time you score, the football gets older. That will come up a little bit later. So why does this work? Well, let's break it down. There are 3 main reasons why the word every works so well. So let's start here with the all-encompassing. All-encompassing is entirely based off knowledge, and the knowledge of like basically everything, right? So for example, if I did a video which is like eating every Kit Kat, you'd be like, what kind of Kit Kats are there? Or eating every Oreo, or eating every Pringles. What kind of Kit Kats are there? What kind of Pringles are there, right? It's all encompassing because you might not know. It basically is predicated off 2 things. One is curiosity gap, and that primary curiosity gap is driven by a potential gap in knowledge. That's number 1. And number 2 is like just a desire for information. That's out to the curiosity gap. You might know a lot, and it's arguably a second curiosity gap based on the first one, which is like you might already know a lot, but maybe you want to see the things that you don't know. Where the first one is predicated more so on you don't know everything, that's why you want to watch. So that's really interesting. You see this a lot, which is like I've used this for a client. I'll bring up an example, but it's really interesting. So this is something I definitely recommend, is using this all-encompassing format. Oh, I just crossed it out. Let me go get the red. Using this all-encompassing format here in some way, shape, or form. This is really, really good for explainer type videos. This is also really good for gaming videos because there's a lot of different aspects of gaming. And this can also be really good for history-esque videos, right? So it's like every war explained, or every weapon of mass destruction explained, right? Things like that. Where everyone F1 driver lives, this is purely like kind of knowledge-based things. I hit a home run in every MLB game, so this is less based on knowledge, where this one is more of like a curiosity gap, which is like, okay, I want to watch this guy hit a home run in every game. Because I remember playing this one. I'm very fond of that. I'm very fond of that. So people who are like, let's say, are very fond of like, the newer MLB games might not be too fond of the old ones because they don't know it. They've never experienced it, so they want to watch it in that regard. I broke every Fortnite YouTube world record. Okay, I want to see all the Fortnite YouTube world records broken. So that's kind of interesting. And then the disturbing cult from every state. Again, hey, if I'm from Florida, I don't know the 59 other cults, so I might be interested in that. Or if I'm from Florida, maybe I do know a cult and I want to see if my cult is included, right? So it's kind of a double whammy in terms of the curiosity gap there. So that's the all-encompassing reason that every works so well. The next one is down here, which is progressive. This is using every in a progressive format. So every 30 seconds, my police bike gets more expensive. So usually this is somewhere between a modifier and a progression. Another great one is every time you score, the football gets older. So this is from 2 months ago. We saw a very similar one here. Oh yeah, we saw it right here, which is every time you score, the football gets older. Right, so I'm bringing it over here. So this is very progressive. Again, if you're a gamer, even if you're a real life creator, you could do like, every bench press, or like every pull up I add like 1 pound, right? Or every curl I add 1 pound, right? Like that could be a great video for a fitness-based YouTuber. If you were let's say, not an F1 driver, because they probably don't have YouTube channels. But let's say you did something with cars, like, every lap the car gets more expensive, right? Maybe if you are like a racing sim driver, that could be kind of an interesting video, right? Where there's a progression built in, and because there is a progression built into the title, this is actually really good for retention. And we actually see this with our own clients, and I'll give some free sauce outside of this, because like based on the title gives away the mechanism for, I'm not gonna say tension, but escalation in this point. The retention on these videos is super, super, super flat because the stakes always rise, right? So let me go. So yeah, so this will be like, let me just draw like a fake little retention graph here. Like this is like the retention for the video, and that's because over like, a time period here, the stakes are constantly rising. So you have to always be watching the video to be able to get like that next bump of like stakes here, of stakes here, of stakes here, because it's progressing. It's a very natural way to integrate really good retention into your videos, I find. So I actually really like the progressive format, using the word every as like the key modifier. And this crushes a lot. So this is something I recommend taking away from this. I'm a big fan of this. So it doesn't have to be like every 30 seconds, but it doesn't have to be tied something into the video. So if it's time frame, if it's item, if it is, I guess time frame is technically duration, if it's accomplishment, like, you know, every game, I like lose a life, right? It's also funny enough, like why roguelikes work so well. If you've ever played Balatro, you know, there's stakes. Every stake makes the game harder, and you want to beat it because it's that reason. Because there's a progressive difficulty curve built into the game. So that's the other reason. So you have the all-encompassing, progressive, and you have one more third reason, which is the modifier reason. So this is generally used in conjunction with a modifier, where arguably the progressive use of the word every in titles and ideas is probably more akin to the modifier format. I prefer as its own separate thing, because I think there's enough kind of differentiation for them to make it its own thing. And I would encourage you to experiment with that and find out. So this is every wrong answer equals, oh, what? Oh, okay, it's black on navy blue. I could not see what I was doing. So we have every wrong answer equals electric shock. So there's like a built-in punishment there, but it doesn't always have to be like every wrong answer. Every wrong answer is just a modifier here. It could be like, you know, I guess in this case, every wrong answer works. But you could do like, you know, some different type of modifier here, which is, you know, I'm trying to think. This is like a really hard one to like just twist off the bat, so I'd have to think about it for a minute. But for example, I accept every trade until I win a championship. Like this could change like really, really easily. Instead of I accept every trade, I draft every player until I win a championship, right? The every in that case is slightly all-encompassing, but it's more so a modifier, because all-encompassing is usually rooted purely in like a kind of a knowledge aspect, or like there is a knowledge deficit from the viewer that they have to fill by watching that video. In this case, like anything that happens, you do. And it's not necessarily progressive, where in this case, there's like a time frame, there's something here where like there's always going to be something happening and it's always going to get progressively worse. There's not going to be like, let's say a 1-to-1 where it's like every single trade in this case, like increases the chance of winning, right? Like that, like it could also just like go down, right? So it's a modifier in that aspect, which is why it's different, like more difficult, and there's not as many let's say examples here, but it's something that I like doing, and I've done occasionally to somewhat success, because this is the hardest one, using every as a modifier, because usually you're pairing the word every with an additional modifier in some way, shape, or form. So that is why this is specifically probably the most difficult way to do it, but I do like it a lot because it does give you kind of a little bit of flexibility where you can use every multiple different times, actually back to back if you want to, one in like the all-encompassing format, one in a progressive format, and then one pairing it with a modifier. In this case, I accept every trade until I win a championship. It could be, you know, you know, I'm trying to think. I had a great one as an example yesterday when I was crafting this, and I can't think of it. But it was also in the 2K niche, where it wasn't like I accept every trade until I win a championship. It's oh, like, okay, for example, I get every player of the year. Again, kind of an all-encompassing thing, but it could work. Or I scored every goal for Messi, right? Again, all-encompassing. Or I scored the worst score for Messi. But it is a harder one to pair, so that's why there's not that many examples of it. But when there are good examples of it, it is really good. I'd be cautious with this one. I probably wouldn't touch this unless you have like a bunch of videos. But the progressive version of it is really good. The all-encompassing version is really good. And here's what I know. These are videos I've done for my clients, and one of 10 has done for the clients. I believe actually maybe all these are my videos. So getting every fruit in one video. I did this for Winter Clouds a year ago. Did 7 million views. I tried every legal performance enhancer. Ollie did this for Will Tennyson. This Crush, playing every Call of Duty but with one life. This is what one of our strategists did, Anna, for T-Dog's Me. Really crushed there. Using every pay-to-win weapon in COD history. So this is mine. This is again more of an all-encompassing format. Also just kind of interesting. Like pay-to-win as the modifier there. Unlocking gold came on every COD. That's T-Dog special. Getting every fruit in 24 hours. Maybe you've seen this a month ago from this guy. That was inspired from us, because this is technically a modifier, because we're trying to get every fruit in 24 hours. So we're pairing the modifier every with 24. That did 3.6 million views. One kill with every exotic. Did this for a Destiny YouTuber, did quite well. Again, all-encompassing format. Every time they kill me, I buy their skin. So this is a great example as a modifier. So every time they kill me, so pairing every time, in this case, yeah, it's not necessarily every by itself, but every time they kill me, I buy their modifier or I buy their skin. So it's not really progressive either, because progression, like there is like a kind of expectation by the viewer that things are going to progress. In this case, it's just a thing that happens every time. not so much all-encompassing, but is a modifier on its own. So the Q straps for every map, that is all-encompassing. Every season Rainbow Six Siege, this is also all-encompassing. Every special eye, all-encompassing. All-encompassing. Playing in every rank from Copper Champion. This is a great example of a progression because we're going from the lowest to the highest right here, right? So there's built-in progression there. And then 36 settings every R6 player needs to do. This is again all-encompassing. This is a direct call out to the viewer. These are all things I've done for my own clients. A lot of outliers here. It works. I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that is how we take outliers, specifically using the word every, to go viral more often than not with these. And I know this is going to piss some people off. I could not find extra data there. I know it exists. I just couldn't find it off the top of my head. I was putting this together. So hopefully, hey, if you want your video to be there and you want to work with us, you can DM me. We're currently taking on clients in any niche, gaming, IRL, fitness, cars, anything you think of, we're looking for clients. So if you want an outlier video using the word every there and you want to work with me specifically or a member on the team, hey, you can always DM me and we can set a call up. Or if you want to use 1 of 10, the tool I found these outliers for, and then be able to transfer them to your own niche, you can click the link in my bio. You'll get 30% off if you use that link. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys Wednesday.